Suma's POV. We have been waiting in the Roshia's sanctuary for a full day now. Jake is busy transcribing runes to protect us from Harbinger's spells, while Lieutenant Datahu and Captain Giguales have been upholding our end of the bargain for the materials Jake needed by assisting their hunters in defending this place. They left yesterday morning and should be returning today or tonight. After spending the day assisting the refugees and guards in any way I could, alongside Ro, Odin's and Nine, we flew back to the small dwelling the Roshia's chief is letting us use. It is a simple place, mostly comprised of a pit dug underneath one of the many large trees, using the roots and stump as both protection and camouflage. Spreading the roots apart and flying inside, we saw Jake exactly where we left him, sitting on the ground, surrounded by scraps and shards of materials, and working on the runes. He had taken his metal garments, his armor, off, and was sat in the dirt staring intently at several rune-engraved animal levers. "Is it going well?" I asked, perching on his shoulder. The others landed beside the scraps and began looking them over, except for Odin's, who landed several feet away and immediately got to work growing himself a snack. It had been a while since I had been on his shoulder like this. It felt comfortable, in a way, to be here. Nearly a week or two had passed since we last had a quiet moment. "I think so. I'm about to test this new one. Want to see?" he asked, holding up a strip of animal leather with hundreds of his strange runes on them. I nodded and he began casting a spell. The dirt below us shook and began to float upwards. Small grains like sand were pulled from the dirt, and what was left fell down. "Jake, what are you doing?" I asked, confused. "I'm pulling the silica out of the ground to make glass," he said. "Now to heat, shape, and cool it." "Glass? Why glass?" Nine asked. "That is the colored mineral nobles use to make art with, yes?" Ro wondered. She was right. I had heard of it as well, but never seen it personally. The grains Jake had pulled from the dirt gathered together and grew hot. So hot that even Jake needed to stand up and take several steps back. Ro and Nine joined Odin's, who was happily eating and watching everything from a few wingspans away. As the grains grew hotter, they changed to colors of vibrant yellows and reds, melting together like water drops in a puddle of wet clays in a mound. "Okay, now to shape," Jake said to himself, as he carefully used magic to pull the molten material apart. Rather than tearing, it pulled apart like sap, with long strands hanging off, then getting pulled back into the three new, smaller balls. "And to cool," Jake said, and the balls of yellow slowly changed. Hardening, they lost their radiant glow and became clear like ice. "Perfect," Jake said, and slowly set them down. "So that is how glass is made," Odin said, his words slightly muffled by the food in his mouth. "I did not realize it would be such a dazzling process," Ro commented, drawing closer and admiring the glass balls. "Where did you learn such a fine craft?" Nine asked, impressed. "I used to watch ASMR glassblowing videos on the internet to help me sleep. Also science class," Jake said, picking up one of the balls and tying a strip of leather around it. "What's the internet?" Odin's asked. "What is ASMR?" I asked. "Both of those are hard to explain," Jake said, and set the ball down, then picked the other two up and put them into his bag. He unsummoned his bag and stepped away from the glass ball after filling the runes with mana. "You guys should cover your ears. Wait, do you have... Never mind. Just get ready because this is about to be loud." The others and myself quickly landed behind Jake. "Why did you send the other balls away?" I asked. "In case the runes don't work." "What happens if the runes do not work?" Nine wondered. "The glass will explode." Unanimously, we all decided that the safest place was not behind Jake, but on the other side of the dwelling, behind a stone pillar Ro created. Jake said that would not be necessary, but we disagreed. "All right, I'm about to start," Jake said, covering the holes on the sides of his head. "It is about to get really loud." Several seconds passed and I sensed Jake cast a spell. Then he winced like he was in pain, but nothing happened. "Do you guys see anything?" Jake suddenly shouted. "What are we supposed to see?" I wondered. "What?" Jake shouted, as if he could not hear me. I yelled back, but felt foolish for doing so. "What are we supposed to see?" "Vibrations. Do you see the glass vibrating?" Jake yelled. "Yes, but only slightly. Not enough to..." Nine tried to say something else, but the sudden and frightening detonation of the glass ball on the other side of the room interrupted him, and surprised us all. "By the dragons!" "Dang," Jake said, uncovering his ears. "I guess I messed something up." "What just happened?" Ro asked. "That was awesome! Do it again!" Odin's laughed. Jake began rubbing the holes on his head and picked up another strip of leather with a different assortment of runes. "Alright, attempt number 2. "No, seriously, what just happened?" Ro asked again. "Those runes didn't work, and the spell shattered the glass," Jake said. "You said that like it explains something, but I only have more questions," Nine said. "Those vibrations you saw in the glass, if the runes had worked, those wouldn't have happened, but because they didn't work, they broke the glass," Jake explained. "But those vibrations were so small. Could they have really done that to the glass?" I wondered. "Glass is hard, so they didn't need to be big to break it. That's why I'm doing this with glass. If these runes are enough to protect the glass, which is easy to break with this spell, then it should be enough to protect us." "About that spell, what was it? I sensed you cast it, but nothing happened, and then you started screaming," Nine pointed out. "You couldn't hear that?" Jake said. "Hear what?" "Oh, right. You guys can't hear the noise from my room-making tools either." Jake shook his head. Wait. Oh, great. Now that expression is ruined for me." Jake repeated the experiment with all 3 balls, and several more strips of leather, until all the balls had been shattered and recreated at least twice each. The whole process took over an hour. Frick! Jake threw the last of his leather scraps at the pile of glass shards. None of them worked. "Maybe if you tried using multiple instead of doing them one at a time, they might work better together," Rose suggested. "Yeah, maybe," Jake said, disappointed. "I'll try it in a bit. I'm exhausted." "When was the last time you slept, Jake?" I asked. "Before we arrived here." "That was over a day ago," Odin said. "I know. I've just been busy." "Get some sleep. The captain and lieutenant probably will not arrive until tonight, so you have some time," Rue said. "Okay, fine. I guess it can't hurt," Jake said, and sat on the ground, then put his bag under his head and covered his eyes with his arm. "If you need anything, just let me know," I said, before we all left Jake to sleep. Jake's POV. Dreaming is weird, but when most of your dreams are nightmares, then dreaming is stressful. Since becoming Suma's familiar, I've had more nightmares than ever before, and even more in the last 4 months. But most doesn't mean all. Tonight I had a good dream. Nothing fancy, no flying or anything crazy. I get enough of that when I'm awake. It was simple. I was having a meal with my mum at her house. We talked about our days, as if I never came to Atmosia, never met Suma, and never got stuck here. I told her about a promotion I got, from a job I quit 3 years ago. I told her about how I wanted to propose to my girlfriend, whom I never had a chance to meet. My dad was there too, and for a few great moments I forgot he died of a heart attack years ago. He gave me advice on what kind of ring to buy, and where to propose because it had to be special. I've had this dream 3 times in the last 4 months, and I doubt I'll ever get tired of it. Something woke me up, and opening my eyes, I saw Suma standing beside me. "Oh, my apologies, Jake. Did I wake you up?" "Huh? What time is it?" I asked, confused. "The sun just set," she answered. "Are the captain and lieutenant back yet?" "No." "How long have I been asleep?" "Half the day, but that is not a problem. You can go back to sleep if you want." No, I gotta finish the runes, I said, rolling over and yawning. Catching a whiff of myself, I decided I needed a bath. Suma, is there a river or a stream nearby? I believe so. Why? Because I haven't had a proper bath since we landed on this island, and I don't want to make one right now, I said. She led me about a 15-minute walk from our little hole in the ground to the edge of the village. There was a small, maybe half a meter deep and 1 meter across stream. Sticking my hand in, I felt the cold water. It was surprisingly clear, too. Will this work? Looks safe enough. Thanks, Suma. I'll be back in a little while. What are you going to do? I'm going to clean myself off a bit. Oh, I see. My feathers do not need cleaning yet, so I will go back to our dwelling. Be careful, she said, and flew away. I followed the stream a little further away from the village for privacy, and summoned my bag. Pulling out some toiletries Mum keeps packed in it, I took a cold bath, shaved, and brushed my teeth. After 4 months stuck here, I'd gotten used to this kind of thing. Though normally I have access to a bath I'd made back at base, and a mirror Mum stuck in there once. The bath was actually just a moulded stone pit, but at least I could fill it with hot water. As for a loo, well, trees in the forest outside of base worked for most things, and I kept a few bog-roll in my bag. While I was at it, I changed into the outfit Mum put into my bag. She packed a fresh change of clothes for me every day, and a new letter too. This had become my new routine. Walking back through the pitch-black forest with only a small fireball for light, I heard a sound coming from the darkness. A violin. Without warning, Suma started yelling over our private connection. Jake, Captain Gigualas and Lieutenant Data are back. They said the hunters were all killed and that the Southern Union is pressing the attack again on their camp. I'm going to summon you. Wait, no. Suma, Harbinger is here. I can hear them in the forest. What? I'm going to go investigate, but be ready to summon me just in case. And let the others know too, I said. Jake, no. It is too dangerous, she argued. I need to see Suma. I need to know if Harbinger is really a human, I said, cancelling my fireball and moving closer to the music. Fine, but do not try to fight it on your own. Closer and closer I drew to the music, moving carefully between shrubs and trees in the dead of night. A small light shimmered between the trees, and for a moment I thought about summoning my armor and a weapon. But I knew if I did that, then any Nume that was with Harbinger would sense me. So I got closer without them. Besides, they were kind of clunky and loud anyway. Once I was close enough, I hid behind a tree and looked around. What I saw surprised me. About 30 meters away, draped in shadows cast from a small yellow flame, suspended in the air next to her, was a woman playing a violin. I couldn't see any Nume, but they may have simply been hiding. The woman wore clothes that looked like an amateur tailor tried to sew together modern fabrics by hand, tore them, and repaired them with animal furs. Her hair was cut short, choppy, like it was done with a knife. The only clean thing she had was the violin, which looked almost new. Caveman chic, I thought to myself. She pointed her violin in my direction, and I felt my body begin to vibrate like I was standing in front of the speaker at a rock concert. It felt weird, but it didn't exactly hurt. However, I immediately got dizzy and fell down. Suma, summon... Oh, I said, over our private connection. Sound collection magic, the woman called out. I knew you were there before you got close. You knew me always send your familiars first to scout me out. Last time it was a giant dog-like creature. I wonder what I caught this time, she said, walking closer. A moment later, as I was laying in the dirt trying to regain my sense of up and down, the light of her fire got brighter, and we locked eyes. What? She whispered. That was the last thing I heard before the darkness overwhelmed me, and I reappeared in front of Suma.